Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the rich legends and culture of this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. Imagine finding an old map that leads to millions in Spanish gold and jewels. Now imagine watching your friend age decades in mere seconds as he scrambles from the dig site, eyes bulging with terror, screaming that he's seen the depths of hell itself. This isn't fiction. It's just one of the documented encounters with what locals call the curse of the Neches treasure, a centuries-old mystery that has left multiple treasure hunters dead and others permanently scarred by what they've witnessed. Welcome to Southwest Desert, where we dive deep into Southwest history's darkest corners. Today, we're exploring a tale that combines piracy, buried treasure, and an inexplicable curse that has claimed multiple lives. This is the story of Jean Lafitte and the cursed treasure of the Neches River. When it comes to buried pirate treasure, the Gulf Coast holds enough legends to fill a library. But even among these countless tales, the story of Jean Lafitte's Neches River hoard stands apart. It's not just the value of the treasure, though we're talking millions in Spanish gold and precious jewels. It's not even the detailed map that has led multiple seekers to the exact location. No, what makes this story unique is the body count, and the fact that every single person who's found the treasure has either died within a week or been so traumatized they've never spoken of what they saw. But before we delve into the curse itself, we need to understand the extraordinary man behind it. Jean Lafitte was no ordinary pirate. In an era of notorious freebooters, he stood out as a master of self-promotion and manipulation. He understood something that modern influencers would appreciate: the value of a carefully cultivated public image. Lafitte crafted his reputation with the precision of a master storyteller, walking the line between fearsome pirate lord and sophisticated gentleman. Historical records confirm his existence, but much about him remains shrouded in mystery. His origins are unknown, lost in a tangle of contradictory accounts and deliberate misdirection. Even his final fate is disputed. Some claim he retired to a quiet life in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, while others insist they found evidence of his death in St. Louis. This elusiveness wasn't accidental. Lafitte understood that mystery bred fear, and fear was often more valuable than gold. The events that would lead to the curse began in 1820, during what should have been one of Lafitte's greatest triumphs. His crew had just captured a Spanish vessel traveling from Mexico to Cuba, a prize laden with coins and precious jewels. But their celebration was cut short by the appearance of a Spanish galleon on the horizon. This wasn't just any pursuit vessel. It was a heavily armed warship determined to recover the stolen treasure or send Lafitte to the bottom of the Gulf. What followed was a desperate chase along the coast, with Lafitte's smaller vessel using every trick in the pirates' handbook to evade their pursuers. As they reached the Texas-Louisiana border, where the Neches River empties into a secluded bay near present-day Port Arthur, Lafitte made a decision that would have fatal consequences for generations to come. They would hide the treasure and return for it later. The crew worked with frantic speed, mooring their ship to shore using a heavy iron chain secured to a sturdy tree. The treasure chests were quickly buried in the tree's shadow, but Lafitte wasn't content with merely hiding his wealth. According to multiple accounts, he stood over the burial site and pronounced a curse, one that promised unnamed horrors to any unworthy soul who dared to claim it. Was this just theatrical flourish from a man who understood the power of reputation? Or did Lafitte possess knowledge of darker arts? The accounts vary, but all agree on one detail. The intensity of his words seemed to change the very air around the burial site. There was no time to ponder the implications. The Spanish galleon had caught up. As soon as the treasure was buried, Lafitte's crew scrambled back to their ship, leaving the mooring chain partially submerged in the river, one end still firmly attached to the burial tree. What followed was an epic naval battle that raged for over an hour in the bay, the air filled with cannon fire, desperate shouts, and the chaos of close-quarters combat. Though initially outgunned, Lafitte's vessel managed to break free and escape into the Gulf of Mexico. The Spanish gave chase, and 2 miles offshore, they finally landed their killing blow. Direct cannon hits sent Lafitte's ship to the bottom. Yet somehow, and this speaks to the man's legendary status, Lafitte himself survived. Within weeks, he was back to pirating, though witnesses reported a change in his demeanor. His subsequent raids were marked by unprecedented fury, as if he was seeking revenge not just against the Spanish but against fate itself. Years passed, and like many buried treasure tales, this one might have faded into obscurity if not for the map. It appeared sometime after the Lafitte era, a crude but surprisingly detailed drawing that laid out not only the location but the entire story. It described the ship's chaining process, the naval battle that followed, and most importantly, provided location details that any local could recognize. The treasure it described was worth millions. Spanish gold coins and precious jewels, all protected by that heavy iron chain still attached to its tree. The map passed through various hands before finding its first serious seeker. Shortly after the Civil War, a Mexican peasant successfully followed its directions to the site. He found exactly what the map described, the tree, still bearing its rusted chain disappearing into the river's depths. He began to dig, and that's where the curse first revealed its power. What exactly happened that day remains a mystery. The man returned home the following morning in a state of complete shock. He had lost his voice entirely, not from injury or illness, but from what appeared to be sheer terror. Unable to communicate what he'd experienced, he died within a week. Doctors could find no physical cause for either his muteness or his death. The map passed to a local farmer who knew nothing of its deadly history. Like his predecessor, he easily found the site and began to dig. Witnesses describe what happened next in terrifying detail. The farmer suddenly began convulsing, his body jerking as if struggling against some invisible force. Those present said it appeared as if something was trying to strangle him, though nothing could be seen. He managed to break free and escape, but like the first victim, he lost his ability to speak. 1 week later, he was dead. But the most detailed account, and the only one where someone survived long enough to partially tell their tale, comes from the third attempt, made by 2 men named Meredith and Clausen. They received the map from the farmer's widow, who finally included a warning about the previous deaths. Meredith, a skeptic when it came to curses and hauntings, jokingly dubbed it the Widowmaker, and enlisted Clausen as his partner in the venture. When they reached the site, the evidence of previous attempts was still visible. A rusted shovel and pickaxe abandoned by earlier treasure hunters, the earth bearing the scars of unfinished excavations. As they dug deeper than anyone had before, they made a chilling discovery. A pirate skeleton, still wrapped in the remains of a canvas sail, complete with metal buttons, buckles, and surprisingly well-preserved leather boots. They carefully removed the bones, planning to give them a proper burial once their work was complete. Then came the moment that would haunt both men for the rest of their lives. While Meredith rested against the tree, Clausen continued digging. Without warning, he suddenly scrambled out of the hole, moving with such desperate speed that he nearly knocked Meredith over. The change in his appearance was shocking. Witnesses would later say he appeared to have aged years in moments, his hair showing streaks of gray that hadn't been there minutes before, his eyes bulging with a horror that seemed beyond human comprehension. When Meredith moved to look into the hole, Clausen physically restrained him, using strength born of sheer terror to prevent his friend from seeing what lay below. All he would say was that he had seen the depths of hell itself. No amount of questioning or persuasion could get more detail from Hai. Like those before them, they fled the site, leaving their tools behind. Weeks later, driven by a sense of obligation to the skeleton they'd disturbed, Meredith returned alone. He found the hole partially filled with rain mud, the bones still exposed to the elements. After giving them a proper burial, he marked the spot with a small cairn and never returned to the site again. The experience left an indelible mark on both men, but Clausen bore the worst of it. He relocated to Beaumont, but could never escape the memory of what he'd seen. He developed a constant trembling, jumping at every sudden sound or movement. Years later, when Meredith encountered him by chance, Clausen's reaction was telling. He not only refused to discuss what he'd seen, but begged, with tears in his eyes, never to be asked about it again. What makes the Neches River curse so compelling to historians and paranormal researchers alike is the pattern of its manifestation. The first two victims lost their ability to speak before dying within a week. The third, Clausen, suffered permanent psychological trauma but survived. All three attempts produced physical evidence, the chain, the skeleton, the abandoned tools, yet the treasure remains undisturbed to this day. Was it truly Lafitte's curse that protected his buried wealth? The pirate's reputation for theatrical flair suggests he might have invented the curse story simply to discourage treasure hunters. But if so, what explains the consistent pattern of horror experienced by those who found the site? Some local historians suggest the possibility that Lafitte discovered something older and darker along the Neches River, something that he merely harnessed rather than created. The answer lies buried somewhere along the Neches River, along with millions in Spanish gold. But after 3 centuries and 3 traumatized treasure hunters, no one has dared to search for it again. Sometimes it seems the price of gold is simply too high. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for another lost treasure story. Check out my large catalog of Southwest videos and playlists on historical tales, legends, lost gold stories, and adult bedtime stories. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.